when we get more lights, we'll and get the setup like more permanent.
All right, cool.
Fuck with the lighting and everything. All right. Yeah, we got John. John's got the laptop there, so he can pull up whatever we need to have pulled up, just to keep it fresh. When did you learn about the Mormons and soaking?
The Mormons.
Also, what did you call it? The Masons?
I thought it was the Masons this entire time. Yeah.
Where did you hear Masons?
Okay, because I knew it was like one of those weird. It was like one of those weird.
Like the Freemasons.
It was like one of those weird culty white people.
Slide it in a little closer. I'm not gonna bite you.
Yeah, it's all right. It was like one of those weird culty white people religions. I forget which one. You know what I mean?
That's not like a. Oh, I guess. Do you think Mormonism's kind of like culty?
I think religion in general is pretty.
Is culty?
Yeah, I think religion in general is pretty fucking culty.
I mean, I guess when you get to the point where like in the Middle East, where they're throwing gay people off roofs and shit, and they're like stoning women to death and stuff. That's a little culty.
But even then, Christianity started off doing the exact same.
Oh,
shit.
for sure. I'm not just.
Bro, did you know mixing fabrics is considered a sin?
Yeah, right.
Dude, honestly, I feel like if the Christians had their way still, they would still be doing. You know what I mean? They'd be still doing that shit.
Shit.
But they fucked up by saying God loves everybody.
Yeah.
That's really where they started losing control. You know what I mean? Because when you say God loves everybody, then gay people are like, well. Doesn't God love
everyone?
Like, we're everybody.
Yeah. You have to be like, God only loves you if you're straight. And
dude, this is why we can't give everyone rights.
Jesus Christ.
Ronnie was looking at me like I was a dick for saying that until fucking Zach came over and one up me.
That's a hell of a cold open.
That's my favorite thing is to double down and just say what I shouldn't say.
All right, well,
yeah, dude, we're not getting those Dunkin' Donut cards.
Yeah,
nah, Dunkin' is not sponsoring this shit, dude.
Maybe Chick-fil-A. Maybe Chick-fil-A will throw us some sandwiches.
Oh, brother. He's like, that's what I'm talking about. Not everyone needs those rights. Oh, can we get a MyPillow sponsor, too? Doesn't he hate, like, gay people or something?
No,
not saying we hate gay people.
I think I
definitely don't.
Yeah, we don't hate gay people. We just want free pillows.
Okay,
yeah.
Right. Ronnie
recording.
Smith does not hate gay people. I got to clarify that.
Wink.
I got to clarify that, nigga. I started hanging out with lesbians. That was the best shit in my. That was.
Dude, lesbians are cool. Really? Lesbians are cool. Those are some of my best friends in high school. Were lesbian chicks.
Yeah.
Weird story. Like there was a time in high school. If I want to exaggerate the story, it sounds way cooler than it is. But so two of my lesbian friend couples and me and my girlfriend at the time, and just some other people. We all went camping, and the two lesbian couples and me and my girlfriend, we all shared a tent. And the four lesbians just started going at it. Just going to town.
Awesome.
Except two of them were like dude lesbians. You know what I mean?
Oh, like
still not the worst thing ever.
Not the worst thing ever, but so
wait, so question, so we know that they're women, but were they like fucking like dudes?
It was a lot of just head.
Like, it
was all head.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was just all eating pussy. But you know, to be able to tell the story later, like, yeah, you know, this weekend, dude, these four chicks were just going at it. Mm-hmm. Like, I was in a tent, and these four girls, they just started all fucking each other. And
what did you actually?
And I was around.
You were just around? Where you just like
you were just there,
hand up on your shoulder, like, oh, this is pretty cool.
Well, I was trying not to watch because like two of them were like very good friends of mine, and they were like looked like dudes, so it wasn't like attractive, and their girlfriends were hot, but I didn't want to stare at their girlfriends. Like, imagine that your friend is just staring at like your girlfriend's tits flopping around while you're fucking her.
But even then,
once you do that in a shared tent,
wait. Yeah, because you're in a fucking shared tent, so it's like that's kind of on them too.
Yeah.
No, it's mostly on them.
Yeah,
like, dude, you could have gone outside to fuck. Just find like a tree stump or some shit like that.
That's insane. Oh, right.
Hold on.
Wow.
Hold this for a second, man. I'm gonna
director
get
Zach.
some more Ronnie in there.
Yes, director
I feel like you're
Zach,
getting cut off for a second.
Director Zach.
Yeah, so it was wild. It was I don't know, it sounded cool. cooler. You know?
All right. So I agree you shouldn't be able to make like constant eye contact, but if you're just
I mean, I definitely like.
Yeah, like-
I glanced and I saw some lesbo tit.
Should have been
It was
able
pretty
to jerk
nice.
off.
I mean, yeah,
Should've
you
been,
know, yeah.
You say I should have been able to jerk
you
off.
should have been able to jerk off.
That, well, my girlfriend at the time was there with me, so that would have been like.
So wait,
really?
wait,
She's
your
like, what?
girlfriend-
And be like,
wait a minute. So let me get this straight. So
Sure.
you and your girlfriend were in a tent with two lesbian couples,
Sure.
and you heard two lesbian couples going at it.
Just didn't even
And y'all
hear.
just-
I saw.
Oh, you saw? Okay, so you was just
I looked.
there.
Well, I heard it. and I looked over and I was like, "Oh shit, they're all just going to town."
Yeah, so you just had to what? Y'all was just cuddling the entire time.
She was knocked out. She was asleep.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, what the fuck was she doing?
Yeah,
All this was
nothing.
happening.
Yeah, she was knocked the fuck out, dude. So, I was just hanging out. Just, it's real weird going to sleep listening to like four women moan. And,
Right,
and
yeah.
you're like, all right, well, good night.
Uh-huh.
The camera back. Now the lights are all weird. All right, that's better. That was a fun experience. It was interesting. I've slept in the bed with two women, but it was all sleeping. So, but it's one of those things where you're like, yeah, I slept with these two girls this last weekend.
Wait, how old were you when this happened?
When I slept in the bed
Yeah,
with
when
them,
you shared a bed with two women.
I was in my 20s.
You were in your 20s? So wait, what was going? Were you guys like on a camping trip or something?
No, this
What
is
the
when
fuck
I was in
context?
Brazil, and one of the girls, like I was kind of like seeing loosely at the time, and she was staying with her friend, and we all went out drinking, and the girl that I was seeing just passed out, just fell asleep,
Ah, okay.
because she was sharing a bed with her friend.
No, I
And-
think he's
and then
still
they
asking
invited-
about the tent story.
Oh, you're still on the tent story?
No, I was talking.
my
about
bad,
him
my bad.
sharing a
Yeah.
bed. Because I'm like, what the
My
fuck
fault.
is it? Did you just see two women sleeping? You
Well,
were
no,
just
no. Time to slide in.
Let me slide up in there.
I love me.
time.
I love me some snuggling. No, dude. And so, like, the girl that I was seeing at the time, she was staying with her friend, and they were sharing a bed. And then she invited me to stay the night, and they were just like, "All right, well, we only have one bed, so let's make it work." I mean, literally nothing happened. Not even with the girl that I was seeing, but it was one of those things where you could take a Snapchat the next day, waking up and the two girls next to you, like, "Oh, dude, you'll never believe it." But it wasn't cool. It was just lame. It was just me farting in a bed with two drunk chicks.
Oh man.
Yeah, might as well have some fun with it.
Yeah.
Take the blanket, cover their heads up.
Double Dutch oven?
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, there was one time in college, I farted so bad it made this girl throw up.
Jesus.
Hilarious.
Like, the smell was so bad, she vomited.
Jesus Christ.
I've never been more proud of anything in my entire life. It was great, dude.
Oh man.
Oh, all right, Ronnie. Thanks for being here. We've changed the name like 4 times, but I think we finally decided on one.
Okay.
We're gonna call it Hatchet Wound Podcast.
Hatchet Wound Podcast.
Hatchet Wound Podcast.
Hatchet Wound Podcast.
Yeah. John shaking his head
Just
into
keep
the
I love the-
Keep repeating the name until it sounds okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the expression of disappointment on his face? It's just like, I can't believe you picked this shit.
Yeah, I know, dude. It was not my first pick.
Yeah, but I mentioned it, and you're like, yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, it's
Hatchet
not
Wound's
worth it.
okay.
Dude,
All right,
honestly,
well-
the best part about that name is it wasn't taken. That's the best
Bro,
part.
when you're trying to start a podcast, you know how hard it is to just find a name?
It's like the South Park episode where they wanted to start a company and every fucking name was taken.
Oh, what did they end up naming it?
They named it the Redskins.
That's
Yeah,
right, because that was the only name that wasn't taken.
Redskins.
That's funny. Yeah. Do you know what a hatchet wound is, Ronnie?
Yeah, to hatchet wound. It's like I think it's a 18th century term to refer to a vagina.
Motherfucker, what?
Wow.
18th century.
I thought it was just more Midwest. I didn't know it was
That
old.
was like a thing that motherfuckers were saying like in the 1900s. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, that was it was like one of those things where they like used it to refer to women in a derogatory way.
Yeah, take a look at this hatchet wound.
Yeah, you know, it's just like, oh yeah, her hatchet wound's a little wide, you know, something like that.
That's funny. Ronnie, you're the first person that we brought this up to that knew what it was, and you're like well informed.
Well, yeah, you know, I try to stay well informed on certain things.
Like slang terms for vaginas.
I'm sorry, but I love old school racial slurs because it's like the funniest words.
All right, give me some of your favorites,
bro. My favorite racial slurs of all time is probably gotta be up there, like tar baby. That's a funny one.
Okay,
tar baby is fucking hilarious, and that's like a thing they used to refer to black people. What was it? You obviously got the old classics. You got chink, you got spick. All those other ones. What the fuck is it? Wetback? I think wetback is a fucking hilarious
Hispanic
term.
people.
Yeah. They used to call black people alligator bait, like right after the Civil War.
Alligator bait?
Yeah, because
I've never heard that.
They would take because they would take black kids and they would just like use it in the South. They would take little black babies and they would just like hang them over a pond with gators to like lure them out, and then they would catch the gators and just like eat them. It's almost like
would they let them eat the baby, or they
would let the gator like eat the baby, and then they would just come up with an axe like why
wouldn't
honey? You know?
Jesus Christ!
Yeah, it's fucking weird, but I think the term itself is fucking insane.
See, you know what's crazy to me is like how people were so brutal back then. I know like they were racist, obviously, but I couldn't even do that with an animal. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't hold like a little muskrat over and let an alligator just eat it. I don't know how you could do that with something that looks so, even because the racist thing. Why are you guys looking at me like this?
Because you said looks so. You could just say human.
The way you said the racist thing and then looked around for a
minute. No.
You looked at the camera.
I wasn't done. I wasn't done. Like the racist people back then, they're like, oh well, they're not human.
Yeah, right.
Even if in your mind you're considering them not human, they look so much like you. How are you so comfortable with that? That's the crazy thing to me.
But the crazy thing is, like, Asian people almost had like the same thing going on.
You had to pull that closer to me.
Asian people almost had like the same thing going on. That's why they called the Japanese the white people of Asia, because they would treat the Chinese the same way white people
the
were
rape of Nanking,
black people,
yeah,
like, you know, in the fucking Civil War segregation era.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. We don't talk about it enough, but the Chinese people did get pretty fucked up when America was starting off. Like, how many Chinese bodies are in tunnels for the Amtrak, you know, when they're trying to build the Transcontinental Railroad?
No idea.
Dude, a lot of dead Chinese people made the railroads.
They were the guys that were like doing most of the railroad work,
Mm-hmm.
like the
Chinese
hard
people.
fucking labor of actually like moving rocks and fucking carving out places
using dynamite to blow out holes in the side of the mountain.
That's also why opium dens became so popular in America.
Yeah, because that's literally what they were. It was a bunch of guys like
you'd work on the rails all day and then shoot up. Which, to be fair, if you've been building a railroad all day, I feel like you deserve a shot of heroin.
Right. Yeah, because, dude, they're, like, literally hunched over in the tunnels all day. It pretty much is medication for them at that point.
Yeah.
And then fucking, you know what's crazy? They didn't even shoot it up. They had like these fancy pipes that they would smoke it out of, right? But they weren't like, it wasn't like a crack pipe type of thing where you just spend $1 and get one. It was almost like a family heirloom,
right? Yeah.
Like a father would pass down his kids. It's like, oh, I built the railroads with this, and now you're gonna do the same thing.
Right.
So it was like it was really weird, man.
Yeah.
It was
Back
really
when heroin had to
pass down the family heroin pipe.
right.
Son, this has been our family for generations.
I swear to God, Google this shit. You think I'm lying, bro? It's insane. The way people used to live is crazy.
I'm actually really impressed with, like, you know your history, dude.
Well, history was always my favorite subject when I was a kid. Yeah, history was always my favorite subject, and I have a black barber. So, like, every black kid that has a black barber, like, at some point when he's cutting your hair, the conversation goes from, like, sneakers and girls to, like, oh, yeah, everything in the history books is a lie. You got to go do your own research. So that was what my barber was. So he was, like, putting me on to a bunch of shit, and I would go do my own research, and I'd be like, oh, shit, this nigga was right.
You know, when I was younger, I'd hear that and be like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. But then you get older and you realize, like, how much of the shit the government is lying to us about now. It's happening now. I'm watching it happen, and you're telling me the opposite. Mm-hmm. And that's what's going to be recorded in the history books is the lie that you're telling to my face currently. Mm-hmm. So, that's when I was like, how can we believe anything that's been written down?
But even then, I think the relevance of history, I think the history books that we talk about.
How can we be sure it was 6 million?
Jesus Christ! Wow, no, I don't even. I think the term history books is kind of like weird because I don't think it's gonna be like history books. I think it's gonna be just like one some giant like cloud, like all the fucking videos.
The history cloud.
Yeah, the history cloud almost, because like people don't even really use books anymore. Niggas are using Kindles to read now. So it's
True.
like,
Gotta save those trees.
Right? Yeah, people ain't using Kindles no more. So I think it's gonna be like a cloud. Because remember, everything you upload to the internet, there's a fucking database where it all stays, even if you delete it. Like if you upload a video to YouTube and you delete it,
but they can suppress those videos though. Like during all the COVID shit, when someone would say something anti-mask, anti-vaccine, whatever, like Twitter, Facebook, they strike it down, say it's misinformation.
Yeah, you're right.
When a lot of times it wasn't necessarily misinformation.
That also depends on what your definition of misinformation is, though.
Okay, it would be people like there was a doctor. I remember this story. There was a doctor in Florida, perfectly healthy dude. I think he was like late 20s, early 30s, really good shape. Got the vaccine, died like a couple days later. And the news story, I remember if you Googled it, you wouldn't find anything about it. Nothing. But if you searched on DuckDuckGo, it was the first thing that popped up.
Really?
100%. So they're like trying to push that shit down.
Wait, what is DuckDuckGo?
DuckDuckGo is like one. It's supposed to not store your information, so it's supposed to be kind of like private browsing.
Oh, okay. It's like if incognito was just
a browser, okay. But then also like the search results that Google shows you. I mean, the top like 3 things are ads. That's why it says sponsored next to it. And then it's what Google wants to show you afterwards, you know? DuckDuckGo is supposed to be more of like a, we're not going to nitpick the information that we're showing, like this is what it is kind of thing.
Okay, so...
You know, kind of like how like, all right, so CNN obviously have a political leaning. Fox, obviously they have a political leaning. But the Associated Press, the AP, is supposed to be like, this is just what it is, non-biased. That's kind of like what DuckDuckGo is supposed to be like. Okay. Like this is just what it is.
Okay, so let me ask you this: given your recent distrust of the government, would you call yourself a conspiracy theorist now? Would you say you're falling down that rabbit hole a little bit?
I mean, I guess, I suppose. Yeah. It's just yes, to answer your question, okay. Shortly, yes.
Okay.
Like a lot of the things with COVID, I'm like, okay, this isn't actually what happened. It's just you, as the government, are getting campaign donations from Big Pharma. And so Big Pharma gets a payout, you know, when you mandate that all these people have to go get your vaccine. Like, they're not just giving this shit away for free. The government is paying them to, because the vaccine didn't cost anything, but... It doesn't mean it doesn't cost anything. You have to make it. It costs to make it and put it in the syringes and have people out there dispensing it. And that was all footed from taxes. You know, that was the government being like, hey, here you go, Pfizer. Here's your $10 trillion or what. Not literally, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get the basic gist.
And if they mandate it, then it's more of like a... Well, you know, we need more money because we have to give it out to everybody, and everybody needs to get it. And so, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I feel you.
I mean, I'm really harping on the COVID example, but there's a million examples like that. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. The government lying, I think that could best be, like, that. The best case of the government lying to the American public was during the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
That was, like, the best example, because if you go back and you watch, like, some of the broadcasts from, like, 1968, they're, like, on YouTube, right? And they would have people... And they would have news reporters in active war zones. So they would just show people getting blown up on TV night after night. And then it would cut to a guy holding a cigarette just like, America's winning. That's right. Keep buying food stamps. And, then the next night it would just cut back to another guy just like getting his brains blown out. And they're just like, yep, still winning. Just keep buying that stuff. Like, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that's the best example of it, honestly.
I don't think having a healthy skepticism for your government qualifies you as a conspiracy theorist. Because I feel like either that or you need to separate conspiracy theorists from crazy people. You know what I mean? Because, like, if you don't have a healthy skepticism for an entity that the vast majority, you don't know who the fuck they are. I mean, like, the government isn't just the president and the vice president. It goes all the way down through every state.
So many people.
I mean? Yeah. So the government's this huge entity. You don't know who 90% of the fucking people in it are. You know what I mean? If you don't have some healthy skepticism for them, then that's just when shit starts getting out of control. And, like, You know, they start doing things like the acid experiment with the CIA, you know what I mean, and shit like that.
Dude, or the Tuskegee experiment. Have you heard about that one? Yeah.
That's fucking wow.
Yeah. Like, I would agree with I'm not sitting there like, I'm not Alex Jones. You know what I mean? I'm not telling you the frogs are gay and like doing a bunch of research and shit and pinning stuff on boards. But I just like John said, a very healthy distrust for the government.
Okay, yeah, you're 100% right. Because I don't even think Alex Jones qualifies as a conspiracy theorist to me. I think Alex Jones is he's more a shock jock than conspiracy theorist. Because when Alex Jones gets on the mic, he just says shit to just get a rise out of people. Like, and even he knows what he's saying isn't making any sense. He's admitted it. He's like, yeah, I'm just saying the shit because people buy my T-shirts. So it's like, you know.
I mean, yes, but there's also some shit he says that ends up being true. Like, he told us about Epstein's Island years before. And then it was, okay, yeah, there's a pedophile island in Asia that all these politicians and CEOs are going to. Yeah, sure, whatever, Alex.
Okay, if you take a million guesses, you're going to be
right.
Once, you know what I mean? Like,
but the thing is everything that comes out of his mouth is crazy. And every once in a while, it's also true. Yeah, and that's the scary part, is that it's also true sometimes.
Right.
Yeah, even a broken clock can be right sometimes.
Which is why.
But when the clock is chiming about all these crazy conspiracies, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. But that's why I think you got to have a healthy skepticism for anybody who's trying to tell you something.
Oh, for sure. Anyone that's trying to control you and tell you what to do.
Because you can't tell Alex Jones, like, hey, only talk when you're, like, 100% certain you're right. You know what I mean? So then you as the individual, you have to be able to shit through and kind of be like, all right, well, I don't think the water's making the frogs gay, but maybe there's something to the fucking...
Maybe there's some chemicals in there that are not, like, you know what I mean? Yeah, that was kind of like my... I just agree with you. I want people to think for themselves. Like, that was kind of like my biggest gripe during COVID was, I don't care if you wear a mask. I don't care if you don't want to wear a mask. I don't care if you want to get the vaccine, don't want to get the vaccine, whatever. But, like, make your own informed decision. Don't just be like, well, the government says we have to, so I'm just going to blindly believe everything they're telling me. You know what I mean? Like, because for me, like, my opinion on COVID totally flipped after I got COVID, because I got COVID pretty early on.
Wait, did you get COVID when it was like when it was still like the death virus, or
I got
when it was the flu?
No, all right. So you remember when the whole country shut down for 2 weeks?
Oh, you
like
got it right
a week after that, like 3 weeks in, or 4 weeks in, I got it like early, and everyone, you know, and we like quarantined and shit, but like you still had to go out and get groceries, whatever. Also, every new variant that's ever come out, I've gotten. I'm so susceptible to getting COVID.
Jesus Christ.
But this is the thing that changed my mind. Every single time I've gotten it, it's been like some sniffles and a headache, whatever, and I was fine. Like when I got it off rip, like brand new, primo COVID, you know, pre-order. You have to stand in line at GameStop at midnight for 2 hours to get it, COVID. And that
actually probably would be where you got it.
Yeah.
Early.
Yeah,
right, but
you know those nerds don't shower.
Yeah. But when I got it that early and I ended up being like fine, I was like, all right, this is what we're shutting down everything for.
Crazy thing.
I just want to get this out there, and then this is all I'm going to, because I don't want this to become a COVID podcast.
No, I don't either.
Oh,
but
God.
like, I did start doubting fucking COVID when I was looking around. I'm like, I don't know anybody that's died. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't even know someone who knows someone who died.
See, that one I did. It was like I would know. It was like my dad's coworker's brother or some shit like that. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay. It's like some guy you only met one time.
Never even met, kind of thing.
In your life. Okay.
Ronnie, am I scaring you? Am I bugging you off? You keep scooting away.
No, because I'm trying to because I'm a fucking giant and I want to be in line with with the mic so people
I just
want to
keep you on camera. That's
all.
all.
So people can let me get back in there.
There we go.
Hey, you guys doing?
Yeah. But I say all that to say,
smile. I'm trying to get them gift cards for you, bro.
I appreciate that.
I bring all that up to say, like, yes, I have a COVID is when I started becoming really skeptical of the government. Like, oh shit, maybe they don't have our best interests in mind all the time. You know, before it was very much like, oh yeah, big daddy government. They're here to protect us.
Yeah,
of course.
but you said out of your own mouth that you were like a big patriot kid. growing up?
Oh, 100%,
like,
dude.
oh yeah, America.
Yeah, because it was like, yeah, America, we're the best. Our government's the best. We do the right thing always. And then, yeah, and then I got older. I was like, oh, what? We don't always do the right thing. This is crazy.
Wait, at what age did it flip for you though? Like, at what age did you go from being like rah to being like, oh, you guys are doing some sketchy stuff?
All right, so around the it was Trump Hillary, wasn't it?
Trump Hillary, that was like 2016.
2016.
Around that election, that's when I first started to be like, all right, there's some fuckery going on. You know, because it was clear at that time that like Bernie Sanders was like the popular choice for most people for the Democratic candidate, but the Clintons are so in bed with the government that of course Hillary won, and they even admitted later because the DNC president got fired that they rigged the primary for Hillary. And so that's when I was like, oh shit, like there's some fuckery going on in the government. And I started kind of keeping an eye out where it was like, all right, things are mostly good, but maybe every once in a while, you know, there's a bad person that fucks it up, whatever. And then COVID is really when I was like, wow, these guys, you can't trust them for shit, dude.
Nah, I think, well, this all goes back to my barber. Shout out Peter. Shout out my man Peter. Because he was the one that planted the seed of skepticism in my
I wanted to ask you, is there like a time when a barber knows to drop that
that it's time to start dropping like
a haircut that you asked for and he's like, it's time.
it's your 12th. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, number 5 is the world changing haircut.
Oh, today's your 12th birthday? Here, read this Black Israelite pamphlet.
Nah, you know what it was? Because Peter, he was one of those guys that was like, he's one of those guys where he's like such a great conversationalist. Like, he knows how to make just about any person like him.
Yeah.
Right? So whenever I was with him, the conversation would always start out with me talking about kid shit, and then he would casually let something slip, and he's just like, yeah, you know, the government just gave us crack in the 80s. So I was like, what are you talking about? And then he would explain it to me, and I would just keep asking questions, and he would keep explaining it to me, and I was such an informational sponge as a child that I would go home and do my own research on things.
Yeah.
So he was the one that taught me to question everything.
Good guy.
Yeah, great guy.
Oh,
that's great work too.
Also, did you get through all your old racial slurs that you liked? I was really
nah, man.
I feel like we went on a huge tangent from that. That's how it started.
With racial slurs, and we wound up
with racial slurs.
Yeah,
too.
old racial slurs. I mean, it's not just the racial slurs that also fascinate me. It's also like the early 1900s was probably just like even the worst.
Like the Wild Wild West?
Not even like the Wild Wild West. We're talking like the industrial era when people like started building cities and like
the Wild West is dying.
Yeah,
the city.
It's dying, and motherfuckers are like, oh, I gotta go make steel, so I'm gonna go to New York and do it. You know, I think that's probably like the most interesting time, like the early 1900s, because like the average age of death for a man was probably like 40, because most of the people were coal miners.
Isn't that crazy to think that like I mean medieval times and shit, you lived to be in your 30s. And that was like...
Yeah, you were an old man.
All right. It's crazy to think that we would be like close to the end.
Right.
Back then.
Yeah.
And I would have already had like 14 years of work experience by now.
Also, that was like a terrible time for your penis to live into.
Because it was never getting used.
Well, yeah, because it's like, well, most women weren't giving up pussy.
True, but they had legal prostitution back then.
Well,
so you were buying pussy.
Okay, well, legal prostitution like 1800s by early 1900s, like 1905 or whatever. That's when people were like, "Oh, this is immoral. Let's make it illegal."
When did that, John? Can you Google that? When did they make prostitution illegal in America?
Because prostitution essentially built most of the South.
Yeah?
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that prostitution built most of the South, because they would like have a shack where like everybody would come and just fuck all these whores, and then eventually the whores realized like, oh shit, we have all this extra money and we done bought nice clothes, let's go make stores and build towns. So they would take the money that they got from sucking dick and make stores and
1910
and all this shit. See, yeah, early 1900s.
Traffic Act.
Yeah, early 1900s. That's when it became illegal.
When did the Industrial Revolution start?
The Industrial Revolution started like late 1800s. It was
Late
around this
1800s.
time. It was around this time. It was
right
peaking.
around the mass production of brass knuckles is when prostitution became.
It's a really
Lucky
weird-
timing for the prostitutes.
talk about great
We
time.
dodged a bullet there. Oh shit!
Oh man, but yeah, around 1910, that's really when it peaked.
Do you think prostitution gets brought back?
It will eventually. I mean, we're already working our way there.
Oh,
with,
I mean, like all the
mass
people that like
acceptance
sex
of
work is real work and that kind of shit.
Yeah, but it's not gonna be the same though, because back then it was just like, hey, I just want to fuck this guy and get my money and go home. But now they're like, oh, now we want healthcare too, and everybody's like, ha!
Prostitute healthcare.
Well, dude, if there's anybody you want to have healthcare,
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
Yeah,
Dude,
I'm
is
not
it gonna be
against
like
it.
I
your?
want her getting tested,
I'm
man.
not
If she
against
comes
it.
back with something, I want her getting medication.
Yeah, I'm
Is
not
it gonna be
against it.
like your prostitute? Like you have your barber, your dentist,
renting
your
her, aren't I?
prostitute.
When
No,
I
but
rent
no,
a
but
car, that's my car right now. But
Well,
it's,
all right.
Well, I mean,
but
like,
you get what I'm
everybody-
saying. Like you get a barber, you go back to that barber over and over.
I mean, there are guys
is it
that
gonna
do
be
that-
like, oh, this is my pros? Like,
oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
There's gonna be a little bit of that.
But there
She's
are
gonna be
guys
like,
that
"Why the
do
fuck
that
are you talking
now."
about Tiffany or whatever?"
But there are guys that do that now though. So it's like even now there are guys that do that.
Ronnie, ever bang a hooker?
Yes, I have.
I was
Nice,
not
story
expecting you
time.
to answer and be so honest right
Yeah,
away.
I have. Yeah.
How
Yeah,
much
I
was
have
it?
I
Is
wrote
it
a
awesome?
joke about it. My 21st birthday, my friends like wanted to get me pussy for my 21st. So one of my boys he found this hooker on Backpage that charged $100 for like an hour, right? And he was like, "Oh shit, yeah, let's go." So she worked in this hotel like on Jamaica Avenue. I forget the name of it, but I went there probably around like 10. I was already, drinking a little bit. I was lit. So I go there and she shows up. She gives me like a welcome and everything. She's like, "Hi, nice to meet you." Like it's almost like a job interview in a sense. She's like, "Hi, nice to meet you. What's your name?" All that good shit. And then we finally get down to it. And I finished around like minute 10. So I thought
You know what? For your first time, that's pretty impressive.
I thought that I had to leave, but she was like, "Oh, nah, it's cool. You could just stay." And she like rolled the blunt up, and we started smoking and like talking about our lives and shit. And I was like, "Oh shit, this girl's actually kind of cool." I was like, "Oh, she's
You know what?
kind of
If
cool."
if
Like, she
anyone-
showed me some of her paintings and shit. Like she was a really good artist. Like she was like, "Oh yeah, I painted this one. This one." She had paintings and shit. She made me food. Like it was just a great experience
Yeah.
overall.
Dude, if anyone has good stories, it's got to be prostitutes, right?
Oh yeah, especially
Yeah, that
that.
are the worst stories. I'd be terrified to ask a prostitute about her life.
Well, I mean,
Right.
because prostitutes have lives outside of prostitution.
What?
It's just like you just gotta just don't ask about their job, because like you ask a prostitute about like what she does, like hooker wise, then you're either gonna hear some really funny stories or you're gonna hear some of the saddest
stories.
most disgusting shit you've ever heard. In
This
your
guy
life.
just wanted to cry into my tits for an hour.
Yeah, man.
Damn. All right. It was only $100 for the hour.
It was only $100.
Was that your first time ever?
That wasn't my first time ever. That was just my first time with a prostitute.
prostitute.
I haven't gone back, but
Yeah.
yeah.
John, you ever pay for it?
For a prostitute?
Yeah.
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. Oh, you're planning on it?
Yeah, I'm pretty open to the idea. Like, I'll never like say no or whatever. Like I said, if I could just like make sure that she's like good to go or whatever, I don't see a problem with it.
Okay.
I already had my window of opportunity when I was 20. I went to Amsterdam and went through the red light district. But I had a girlfriend at the time, so I didn't do anything. But it was crazy being 20 years old and having like these 35-year-old women like coming out of these display cases, like, "Oh hey," grabbing your hand, like trying to pull you back in, like, "Hey, come fuck me."
Yeah, and they're just like,
"What? This is crazy."
and they're just like unhumanly thick, like
Dude.
Exactly right. Like they're just
Crazy.
so thick. They look like fucking cartoon characters.
Yeah.
These women.
But I did not.
I swear.
fuck
We tried to do this. We tried to do the same thing for one of my other friends. This dude I grew up with, and he was a bit like on the dorkier side. But,
Yeah.
we was all cool. So when he turned 21, he wanted to do the exact same shit. So we went back on Backpage and tried to run it back, and we found a girl, but her shit was like, "Oh yeah, it's 200 for the hour." And between the two of us, we only had like 150. Right, so the dude, he like starts trying to haggle with her in the middle of the shit, and she's like, "It's 200." Ain't nothing. There's nothing to talk about. He's like, okay, all right. We got 150. What if I get you like a pack of your favorite cigarettes or some shit? She's like, nah, it's cool. It's like, no. We can make it work. I got Tito's outside. We can make like he's just offering up shit that she didn't even.
Why didn't you just cut down the time?
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
That was also on the table, but it's like she didn't do less than an hour. So it's like we wanted to go for half an hour, but we couldn't.
Like, we'll give you $150 for half an hour.
Yeah, it's like
it's like less. That's more than what her like. If you broke down her pay by minute rate,
yeah,
that's more. And it's less time.
But even then, she was like adamant, like because she like had her rules and she was adamant.
Well, you know what? It makes sense because if a guy is haggling, like he can't afford the hooker, he's probably like, I got nothing to lose. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like my half an hour is gonna end, and I'm not
a lot of guys will judge people for like just having sex with a prostitute. Nah, I'll tell you, you have not seen a desperate man until you've seen a guy try to haggle with a hooker for 30 minutes.
Damn.
Like he made us leave. She made us leave, and he got outside. This nigga called the number and got back on the phone with her to try and keep the haggle going. Like he really wanted pussy that night.
Dude. Damn.
And I'm not gonna say his name because I don't know if it's gonna get views or whatever. But
is he a comic?
No, he's not a comic. He's a guy I grew up with. But still, Yeah.
We have a comic friend of ours that we are probably gonna have to get a hooker for his 21st birthday.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't even know how you go about finding one.
Well, I mean, there's tons of websites.
There are. Excuse me. Yeah, there are websites for those things.
It's not like something you can just Google though.
Yeah, it is.
Prostitute websites?
Yeah.
Well, don't click in prostitute website, but you start on escorts, and then a lot of those places they either have like code words or like or a menu of shit that they're okay with, and you can just find out which ones are prostitutes from there.
Or even then, if you really want to be smooth with it, you could go on Reddit and just like ask for like the best escort websites, because like you can find every version of degeneracy on Reddit that you could.
That's true. Reddit is like the middle ground between the regular internet and the like dark web. I feel like,
yeah,
I mean, like that's the seedy part of the internet.
That's the best way I've ever heard anyone describe it.
Yeah, it's like a brochure, like a pamphlet. Like, hey, you want to keep digging, this is where you're gonna go.
Yeah, right.
Nah, motherfuckers on the dark webs are lunatics, because to get on the dark web, you have to like first you got to download like a whole bunch.
The Tor browser and shit like that.
Well, dude, you got to know exactly where you're going too. Like you have to have like the URL down and everything.
Yeah,
because there's not like a Google for it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, man. What was it? I remember I was watching this video on like people who went to the dark web. And it would just be guys that were just like going on there trying to like buy drugs or whatever, just like regular shit. It's just like a guy's like, oh yeah, I went online looking for an 8-ball and I typed in the wrong thing, and then I saw like a human sacrifice by accident. So he was like, you got to be really precise if you're gonna do something.
Dude, I had a professor in college that we were talking about the dark web one day, and he was talking about like how he just like tried to get on it just for shits and giggles, just to see what it was like, and he had this like this window up, essentially could tell you if anyone was like trying to hack into your shit or whatever, like a VPN window kind of thing. And he said the second that he got on to dark web, the like Department of State or like Homeland Security or one of those agencies like started pinging his fucking computer.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's...
because what you doing on the dark web?
Yeah, exactly, because especially those guys at, the NRA, not the NRA, it's the NSA. The NSA, they're the ones that keep track of that kind of stuff.
And see, that's the other tricky thing about, like, since the dark web is so open, you can accidentally, like, stumble onto shit, but you spend as much time looking for shit as you do, like, trying to protect yourself either from people hacking into your shit or, like, just trying not to be seen, because that's the whole point of the dark web. Is to not be getting pinged like that. So it's like, really stick with Reddit. Stick with Reddit.
Yeah, dude.
And if it's too fucked up for Reddit, then
Yeah, the regular old internet is good enough for me. Yeah. I don't need to see like snuff porn or anything like that. You know what I mean? I don't need to buy my drugs online. Regular internet's good.
Just go meet your drug dealer like a regular guy.
Yeah, just go to McDougal Street and meet him on the corner.
Oh, geez.
Right.
And they're fucking everywhere.
Oh, man.
One of the things that I like to do is, I feel like on a lot of podcasts, you get asked like the same basic questions. Like, where are you from? Tell me your like background with comedy, this, that, or the other, whatever. I wanted to like ask like real ask questions.
Oh, okay.
Like what's something about yourself that you don't like? You know what I mean? Like shit like that. That's what I would ask.
What's something about myself that I don't like? Okay. Something about myself that I don't like. I wish I was more sociable. That's something about myself that I don't like. I'm not really a sociable guy.
I would disagree with that.
A lot of people think just because I know shit and I can carry a conversation, I'm sociable. But nah, nigga, you put me in like a random bar by myself, and I'll just be sitting there in the corner, just not talking to anybody.
But that's not like irregular. You know what I mean?
I don't know, man. People always made me feel like it was because I would do the same shit at like my family reunions. Like I would go to my family reunions and I would talk to my uncles for like 2 minutes, and then I would just go in a corner and sit by myself. And my brother always used to make a joke. He's like, "Oh yeah, you're gonna be a serial killer when you grow up." I could tell. So I always tell him, yeah. It's like, because
worse, you're a comedian.
Yeah, I would just be in the corner. I would just be in the corner, just like screwing around with the deck of cards. You know what I mean? Just not bothering.
Do you know any magic tricks?
Did I do magic tricks? No, I didn't do magic tricks.
Oh, right.
I wish I learned magic tricks. I didn't know. I didn't do any magic tricks.
Damn, dude. I found you very easy to get along with. I thought we became friends pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's pretty. Well, first of all, you were a cool dude. Cause see, my thing is comedy is a lot like high school, right? It's a lot like high school times 10 almost. Yeah. Like I think I've always said this, and I will die on this hill. Comedy is run by all the dorks that didn't get pussy in high school, that never had power in high school, and now they're trying to make up for that, right? Like that's just my theory. Comedy is run by those types of people, and a lot of the things with those types of people is that they rarely focus on making themselves better. They just want to make everybody else bow to them, right? So that's one of the main reasons that I don't like go to certain places and hang out with certain people, because I don't want to get caught up in that whole fucking dick swinging contest and just like, ooh.
But I feel like the best comedians don't. That's not their mentality. Like,
right, because that's what he's saying, is that the best comedians are the type of people that focus on making themselves better.
Exactly.
But you're talking about people that like produce shows and run clubs and stuff like that.
I'm not even necessarily gonna lump all those,
because you're saying like the people that run stuff.
Because there are people, a lot of the people that run stuff can be dickheads, but every now and again you'll meet somebody that runs stuff and that runs something, and you'll find out that this person is like a cool guy, but he has to deal with comics being vultures to
shout out to
all
Mikey
the fucking time. Shout out to Mikey.
Mikey's my favorite like comedy authority figure I've had to deal with.
He is the nicest booker I've ever met. Dude. Nicest person.
He's like
fucking cool ass dude.
He works hard. He's a cool fucking dude.
Cool ass dude. He loved talking to comedians till he became booker.
Yeah,
well, he became booker, and then niggas 10,000 messages every day.
Dude, and even then, he still like accommodates a lot of people. He's still like, I mean, he has to tell some people no, you have to, but like on like the Tuesday free show, I see a lot of new people like getting up and getting time. Like he helps out a lot of people.
Yeah, shout out to Mikey for giving opportunities to young comics. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Fuck, what were we saying? Oh, yeah, but no, like I met Shane, I've met Louie, I met Dave, and they've all really chill, really cool.
You know what's crazy? I met Bill Burr, and he was nothing like I thought he was gonna be.
Really? What was he like?
Because I was at the. I remember this. I was at the stand, right, and I just seen Bill Burr. He just popped in to like do a workout set. And
I gotta let you know, Bill Burr is like John's idol. Like,
he's the only guy that would let adopt me, dude.
Yeah. Because like, yeah, dude. Because John's got the orphan card that he can pull. If John was able to call any guy dad,
he would want
it would be Bill Burr.
I feel like he's gonna punch a hole in the wall by the time I'm done with the story. So I was in the stand just like watching the show.
I can see the envy in John's eyes.
You're literally the only person's opinion I give a shit about. This better be good, Ronnie.
He pops in.
If Patrice was still alive, I feel like he would be up there too, though.
He does his set, and then he goes upstairs. And I walked out the showroom, and I'm talking like with one of the comics. And I'm like, damn, Bill Burr's here. Like, I wish I could talk to him. And he was like, oh yeah, you could go talk to him. He's upstairs. And I was like, word? He's like, yeah. So I went up there, and he's just sitting at a table by himself. He's like having a beer. He's just chilling. So I walk up to him. I'm like, hey, Mr. Burr, like real respectful and shit. I'm like, hey, Mr. Burr. So my name's Ronnie Smith. I'm a comic. It's really nice to meet you. Yada yada yada. I'm a big fan of your work. And he's just like, oh, thanks, Ronnie. So what the fuck are you looking at me like a weirdo? Come sit down. And I sat down with him.
Dude, that's
See, look at his arms shaking. He's gonna punch a hole in the wall. I'm telling you. Yeah, but I sat down and he was just like He was just talking to me about comedy for like half an hour. We were sitting there having a legitimate conversation, and the longer the conversation went on, the less it felt like I was talking to a famous person.
Yeah, he was just like a dude.
Yeah, he was just like a regular dude. He was he was like a dad from Boston, just sitting there, just talking about shit. You know, he was telling me like all these. He was telling me a couple stories about him and Patrice, and all this other shit. And he was telling me, he's like, oh yeah, just focus on you, man. Just say what you want to say. Don't get on stage and say a bunch of nothing. If you're gonna get on stage, make sure you have something to say. And that's a piece of advice that's always gonna stay with me.
Yeah, dang, he's that's so cool, dude. John, are you okay?
Bro, he was mad cool, dog.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, what the fuck? Look at this nigga about to cry.
Dude, I love hearing when like somebody you like respect as an artist is also cool.
Yeah.
Because how many times have you heard like, oh, I love that like actor or whatever, and you find out that they're just a piece of shit.
Well, that's almost what I was expecting. Right, because like this guy's been famous for a long time. He's probably met like 100 guys like me. So I'd think by now he'd be like, "Oh yeah, nice to meet you. Now get out of here." But the fact that he was like, "Oh, come sit down," just kind of was just like, "Whoa, all right." This guy want to talk. He's asking me questions and shit.
Yeah,
like,
dude, I've heard he's like one of the most humble comedians. Like he will still like call in ahead of time for spots. Like he won't just drop in. It's like. Plays by the rules still, doesn't bump anybody. Like,
yeah, like he doesn't.
Really nice.
He only does 15 minutes and then he gets off stage. Like he's not standing up there doing an hour and a half, fucking everybody behind him.
Yeah, I've heard he's like a real fucking cool dude.
Yeah.
But also, like to do comedy and be good at comedy, I feel like you have to stay grounded and be like a regular, chill, cool person.
I think it's good for comedy. I don't think it's a necessity because there are a lot of famous comics that are dicks too. Let's not get it twisted.
Right, but on the Mount Rushmore, people that you would consider greats, how many of those guys?
Well, I've only
know what I mean?
I've only met like 2 of the people on my Mount Rushmore, and they were both really cool to me because my Mount Rushmore, it goes Rock, Patrice, Burr, and Chappelle. I met Burr and Chappelle. I haven't met Rock or Patrice, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, Chappelle's story was actually interesting because I remember, you know how he comes to New York and he does like those 3-nighters?
Yeah.
So one night I was in a club, he's on stage, and they wouldn't let us in the showroom, obviously, because, it's like $400 tickets or whatever the fuck. So I sat there and I watched him like through the window. I pushed my ear against the glass so I could like hear him. And it's me and Adam Hamada and another comic who I will not name, but we were all sitting there just like watching him. And unbeknownst to us, his assistant like came out of the green room and just saw us and took a picture of the shit and showed it to him. So the next day, I get a call. Adam's online. He's like, "Yo, man, Chappelle, he gave us tickets to the show." I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, somebody sent a picture of us to listening to him, and he saw it, and he wants us to come to the show, and we got passed to the after party, and he's like going crazy." I was like, "Oh, what's up?" So we went there, and it was a really great show. Fucking who was on it? Sam J was on it. Shane Gillis murdered. Brandon Marshall, that guy is fucking, oh my god, he's a beast. Pete Davidson was there. He was kind of working out stuff, but he was still pretty funny. And Wilson Vince was hosting. It was a great show. Chappelle did 3 hours, and then afterwards we're at the after party. Now the after party, they just cleared out the showroom, and the DJ's on stage. Every comedian that's somebody in the scene is there, right? So they're all just standing around talking. And Chappelle is just on stage, just looking out, like almost like he's observing the room, And I'm sitting there in awe because I'm like, oh shit, this is like one of my heroes. Fuck it, I'm gonna go talk to him. So I walked up to him with my arms out, like I was greeting one of my uncles. I was like, yo, what's up, Dave? And his security grabbed me by like the back of my t-shirt, and he's like, yo, don't run up on Dave like that. And Dave sees it, and he's like, nah, it's okay, let him come talk to me. So I walked up on stage, and I was just like, yo, what's going on, man? My name's Ronnie Smith. Nice to meet you. And he looks at me. He's like, Ronnie Smith, you a comedian? I was like, yeah. He's like, oh, cool. And we just started talking, and we were having a really good conversation. And a bunch of other comics saw me on stage talking to Chappelle, and because it was me, they're like, oh, well, if he can do it, I guess I can do it too. So now every comedian in the room suddenly just swarms Dave all at once, like to the point where the manager comes down and says, anybody else bothers Dave, they're getting kicked out the room. right? So I almost felt I felt really bad, but you know, I'm sitting there, and as the party's like phasing out on my way out, Dave's walking out, and he just like he goes out of his way. He sees me in the corner as he's walking out, and he's just like, "Oh, it's really nice to meet you." And he daps me up, and he just tells me keep going, and then he walks out. And I'm sitting there like, "Yo, this nigga was really fucking cool."
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, it was really fucking cool, man.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Dude, they say like never meet your heroes, but luckily I have not been disappointed yet.
Yeah,
Like,
I haven't been disappointed.
I think it's also because, like, when you're a comedian, you can either be a dick on stage or you can be a dick in person.
but you can't be both. Yep.
Right. So, like, a lot of those comics who go up on stage and they're, like, the
Trying to do the
super,
Mr. Nice Guy thing.
Yeah, lovable guy routine. Those are the guys that when you try and say, like, hey, John Mulaney. Oh, wait. Yeah, then that's when they're like, fucking get out of here, man. I'm trying to focus on my shit. But then,
man, I think okay, because what was it? I forgot who said it, but somebody said like, "Yo, clean comics are probably like the most fucked
Dude,
up people."
Jesselnick was talking about that.
Yeah, he's like,
Jesselnick was talking about
comics.
usually like the comics that are like the darkest or like the coolest people.
Yeah.
It's like flip flopped.
Yeah.
My theory is everybody's got that like that evil in them. You know what I mean? That like fucked upness, the darkness in them, and it's about how you get it out, how you let it out, and the people that are like they say fucked up shit on stage, like that's their outlet because everybody has those thoughts, but it's like how do you let it manifest? Do you let it manifest by like being a dick to strangers and stuff, or do you let it manifest by like telling fucked up jokes? You know, because it's in everybody. I genuinely believe that, but.
Yeah. Oh yeah, anybody that does comedy, I think on some level you're a little fucking crazy.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, dude, public speaking is like one of the top 5 fears in America.
Yeah, and all comedy is just public speaking with added pressure. It's like not only do I have to go up in front of this room with 300 people, but now I have to make them all laugh.
Yeah, because it's not like you're giving like a TED Talk. You're giving an informative speech, and it's like, I'm just going to tell you what I have.
Yeah, it's like, no, I'm doing dumb little things that I thought of that I hope you guys
I'm doing an act out of a robot getting fucked by a monkey. You know, like, this, I'm not going to laugh after this. It's going to make me look really stupid.
Oh, my God, man.
Dude, yeah, it was my first night ever doing a club show. I met Louis C.K. It was so cool.
Oh.
I was barking on the corner. I just happened to be there, right place, right time. And they're like, dude, we need someone to bark. And I was like, dude, yes, I will do it. I've been stuck doing these open mics that suck for like 6 months. I just moved to New York not that long ago. I just needed to get in front of real people. And I was barking, and I see Louis come down the street, and I was like, holy shit, that's Louis C.K. Like, I have to say something. You know what I mean? This is the guy that inspired me to even want to be a comedian in the first place. And I barked at him. I was like, Louis, you want to come see a comedy show? And he laughed, and he came over and shook my hand. And I totally fangirled. I was like, dude, I'm sorry like to bug you, but you're just the dude that inspired me to even want to do comedy. He's like, oh, thank you so much, man. Like, hope you have a great set tonight. And shook my hand and went to go do his set.
That's fucking cool,
That's
man.
so cool. He couldn't have been nicer.
What was it? Did I meet? Oh yeah, I did meet Louis. I met Louis during the fucking pandemic.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is that when he went to that fucking open mic in the park and gave everyone notes?
I crowd worked Louis that day.
And you crowd worked him?
I crowd worked him, yeah. Because he showed up and he had the mask on and he had like shaved his hair a little bit and he had like this giant fucking fishing cap, so I couldn't really tell who it was. And niggas had told me beforehand, like, oh, there's going to be a special guest at the mic today. And I was like, oh, get the fuck out of here. I don't give a fuck, you know. So I go up there and I'm doing my thing. And I had this one joke that I don't really do anymore about time travel. You know, I'm not going to go into the joke, but I would always crowd work somebody. And I pointed at Louis and I was like, yo, if you could go back in time, what would you change? And he just looks around just like, I don't know. I'd probably go back and invest in Apple or something. And I was like, oh, so you wouldn't change slavery, bro? That's crazy. And then it got a giant laugh. And I go back to my material, and I'm thinking, it kind of sounds like Louis C.K. And then afterwards, he gets up, and he kind of like does a gather around children kind of motion, and all the comics gather around. And he's like breaking us down bit by bit. Like, he's talking to us about our writing techniques and how we set jokes up and everything. And he looks at me, and he goes, yo, this guy reminds me a lot of Chris Rock. Like, yo, doesn't he was with a girl, too. He's like, yo, doesn't he remind you of Chris? He's like, yeah, this reminds me of, like, early Chris, like, 90s Chris. And I was like, oh, okay. And the whole time, I'm fucking oblivious. Everybody knows what's going on. I'm just like, who the fuck is this old nigga? And then after he leaves, he shakes our hands and everything. After he leaves, I was like, yo, who the fuck was that guy? And it's like, are you serious? Nigga, that's Louis C.K. What the fuck is wrong with you? I was like, what? That's Louis?
That's crazy.
Like, I didn't
so funny, dude.
Because I didn't know what was happening. I was like, what the fuck? Who's this
Also,
old guy?
we all know what his real answer was. If you could go back in time and change anything.
Yeah, I was like, that changes the question entirely.
I
like,
probably would just jack off privately and just keep it to myself.
He lied to me.
That's so funny. Dude, first time I met Shane, I've met Shane like 4 or 5 times. There's no chance he remembers me. But the first time I met him, he introduced himself to me. I was like, dude, I know who you are. Like,
well, I mean, okay, but you gotta appreciate that. Though.
No, I really respect and appreciate the humbleness, but it's like, dude, because it was like right after.
Was it after?
It was shortly after the Austin special came out.
Oh, the Austin
when he
special.
was like popping off, like he'd been on Rogan a couple times. You know what I mean? Like he was like the dude,
like the start of Gillian Keefe.
Yeah. Like he's just really like taking off. And she's like the hottest comic on the planet at that point. And I'm barking at Ben. And he's like, oh, you doing the midnight at the Pair? And I was like, yeah. He's like, what's up, dude? Shane. What's your name? And I was like, Zach. He's like, oh, man. Have a great show tonight, dude. How's it looking? Like, just chatting with me about this shit. While he's on his way to do like 5 seller spots in a row.
Yeah, man. Like, you gotta appreciate that, though.
Dude, man. Yeah. But that's what, I mean, that goes back to my point about like, a lot of the best comics I think are like they're still cool. They're still chill people.
Well, yeah, man. The thing about comedy is it's one of the only skills that requires you to improve yourself as a person to get better at it as time goes on.
Yeah.
You have to improve yourself.
You have to be more honest with yourself and like
you got to be more self-aware of what's going on around
you. Dude, it kind of sucks that you can't live in your bubble anymore. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I kind of like it because it's challenged me to like try some things and really fucking.
Oh, I mean, I love it. Of course, like I uprooted my entire life and moved out here to do it. But yeah, I definitely feel like that's one of the coolest things about it is as you do it and as you go on. I mean. Because you've been doing it for a long time, right?
I've been doing it about 6 years now.
Oh shit! I thought you've been doing it, but you would start it when you were real young, right?
I started when I was in high school, about 17 years old. But I don't really count the early years because I wasn't doing it like
consistent.
I wasn't doing it consistently,
dude. The first time I ever went up, I was 20. But like my first couple years, like 20 to 24, I was super loose, really inconsistent. Yeah. So I don't really start counting my time in until 24, because that's when I really started going at it.
I really started kicking in with it around 19. That was really when I started fucking going
hard.
Yeah, that's when I really started fucking getting into like 5 spots doing that fucking hustle,
Yeah, but dude, it really does force you to like be a better person and be the best version of yourself. It's really cool.
Absolutely.
Unless you want to be one of those guys that does like a character. You know what I mean? You know those comics?
Yeah, I know exactly what
it is unfortunate,
about.
Like the biggest comedian to ever come out of our state is a character guy.
Wait.
But I've heard he's actually
Larry
pretty cool though.
It's Larry the Kid. That was the guy I was thinking of too.
Yeah. I've heard he's actually a pretty nice guy though. But yeah, whatever.
The character thing I never really liked because like after a certain point when you present yourself as a character and then people like see you in real life, they just expect you to be the character all the time,
and you're just stuck being that person.
Exactly. It's kind of like what happened to Jaleel White when it was Steve Urkel. You know, he got famous as Urkel, and then he would just.
And now he's just Urkel.
Yeah, that's it. Like now he can't go anywhere without people going, "Oh, did I do that? Yeah, that's you." You know,
that's you. Make the fucking voice, bunny man.
With the glasses on, like you know. So that's one of the things I don't like about being a character. I never wanted to be a caricature of anybody, really.
I feel you.
I tried really hard to be Chris Rock when I first started.
I think everybody has somebody that they respect that they emulate a little bit when you first start. It's just because you don't have your own voice yet. So when you're thinking of jokes, I feel like you're thinking of it in the voice of the person that you want to be like.
Oh, absolutely.
It takes you a while to... Dude, I still slip into that every once in a while. Like in my head, I'll have a bit idea and it will be Bill Burr saying the bit idea. I'm like, oh shit, this isn't me.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
No, I feel that.
Damn. All right. Well, we should probably wrap up soon. John, do you have any question for Ronnie?
Oh, yeah, the real questions. Yeah, let's get it out.
Dude, I mean, we have so many. Like, I asked Guy Noel what his most embarrassing memory was. Like, what was the most embarrassing thing that ever happened to you?
The most embarrassing thing that ever happened to me. Oh boy, that's a Rolodex. Let me think. Most embarrassing thing that ever happened to me. It was weird. I was at a girl spit in my face just for asking her out, but that's a whole other thing.
Damn.
Oh God, that's a tough one.
Nah, it was a tough one because you remember when you were like 13 and you wanted to like ask out a girl, but you would like do research on her to like get it right.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, so I had one of my female friends actually find out like a little bit about her. And she told me, like, oh, yeah, she like this type of music, and her favorite chocolate is this. So I was like, okay, I'm going to get her, like, some of her favorite chocolates or whatever. So I went to the store, got her the chocolates, and the next day I walked up to her in the middle of lunch, and I asked her out in front of her friends. But I didn't have, like, the confidence yet, so I was just like, oh, hi, Natasha.
You go out with me?
Yeah, you want to go to the movies with me?
Chocolate?
Yeah, here you go. And I was, and all the girls are laughing at me. And I was like, hey, fuck you guys, Yeah, she likes me, Yeah, I'm a good guy, right? And I'm just like, sitting there all dorky with the fucking Coke bottle glasses. And all her friends were clowning me. And it was like such an onslaught of insults that by the time I could get to one, 3 more would just pop up, and it was like rapid.
Oh, dude, he's good there.
Yeah, like it was so bad.
Oh, you were a wounded antelope in a pack of hyenas.
Bad that a crowd of other kids, kids came from other tables to the table where this was happening to just watch me fail. Right?
Damn.
So yeah, I'm getting roasted by just about everybody in the fucking thing. And then at some point, I like tried to grab her hand and she's like, get off me. And she spits on my face and lands on my cheek. And all the other kids are laughing. And I like tried to play it off the next day, but I got roasted for that for like 2 weeks everywhere I went. I couldn't go anywhere at school.
That's tough, brother. That's tough.
I'd say that's worse than the
That's worse than the swim lesson.
That's why I had to think on it, because I'm like, oh, it's a Rolodex. Like, it's a whole bunch of shit. I got booed at the high school talent show, everything. Like, it's a...
We'll definitely have to have you back on and hear more of these.
I love how that's the premise for me being a return guest. It's like, hey, listen to Ronnie's
embarrass yourself some more. I mean, normally we try to dig into like... I was going to say dig into you more, pause. But talk more about you, but we just got on like a good roll.
It's okay. It's good because I think part of the reason those things I think those things happen to me to just, make me, it allows me to like see through people's bullshit.
Yeah, and it makes you who you are.
Yeah, it literally made me who I am. So, like one of the great things about having nothing is that you get to see how everybody is like. Yeah. Because when you have nothing, people have no reason to treat you nice. So now you get to see who really is who. You get to see who's really the dick and who's really the nice guy.
That's a good point. Mm-hmm.
But when you have everything, it's harder to see that because everybody wants to be your friend, Yeah. Everybody wants to get a little piece of pie.
That's why, like, athletes and famous people, rich people, rappers, whatever, they always talk about, like, their friends from the beginning. Like, yeah. Or, like, some rich athlete now is with his high school girlfriend still because, like, oh, she was with me when I was nothing.
Yeah. I'm still friends with all the guys that, fuck with me when I was nothing. Like, I had 5 other dudes that I would just hang out with all the time. Yeah. We'd, like, go play basketball together, play video games together. We did everything together. We still cool with them. We still cool to this day.
That's a good thing to have, man.
Yeah, it's a good
Ronnie?
Thing. Good to have.
Thanks for being on, brother.
Of course, yeah. Happy to be here. Yeah. Hope Reddit sends us some free donuts.
Yeah, buddy.
Let's get a sponsor.
All right, cool. We're out.
Yeah. Peace out, baby.